Fuck, I lost the script. I don't know what to do. Welcome to Fourth Dram and Goal. Today we have Mahomes versus Mayfield. Bills Mafia partying like it's 1993. And we have a champion amongst us. So grab a glass, put the game on mute, and take a listen. Let's go.
Let's do this.
All right, welcome to Fourth Dram and Goal. I'm your host, Kurt. I hope we're joining you in your man cave around the world, getting ready to talk sports, delicious whiskey while we enjoy this AFC playoff game. I've got my co-host here, Dick.
What's up, Drammers?
We are here joined by our fantasy football season champion. And with that, I'll hand it over to my co-host, Dick.
What's up, Drammers? So a couple things before we get into it and we introduce Keith here. I want to remind you of a few things. We've got our website, fourthdramandgoal.com. That's 4thdramandgoal.com. Come visit us there. We've got links to our Twitter as well as our Instagram and the Facebooks. You can hit us up and follow us there. And remember that you can also listen to us on all your favorite podcasting services, Apple, Google, Audible, CastBox, etc. Don't forget to rate and review us on there. We can't get better without your feedback. We want your feedback. We desire your feedback. And you can always send us an email at fourthdram. It's 4th dram and goal at gmail.com. All right. And so that covers all the administrative bullshit. Kurt, I'm going to go and kick it back to you to talk about what we got going on.
All right. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we have the privilege of having our fantasy first year Whiskey Boy League champion. Lucky son of a bitch. I guess I'm glad he's here. Kind of, not really. But we are joined by Keith, our buddy from the East. Keith, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
No problem. We kind of had to since you won. Fuck you.
Doing a lot better now. Now that it's over. Being the commissioner of that league was joyous.
Hey, I will take my wins gracefully and gladly because
and your $100
and my $100
and your fucking
and a
trophy.
Wonderful, exquisite trophy. Thank you.
I was going to ask where that trophy was at. I was going to ask if you put it like on top of your toilet.
My back pocket. It's on a keychain now.
Ah, gotcha.
And your Jenko jeans.
Yeah. It's actually a hood ornament that I can screw on my truck, and then I just unscrew it, take it with me. So
that would be legit. So Keith, I've got to ask you, since you are the fantasy football champion this year, tough pill to swallow. When you did this shit during the draft, were you like Mr. Analytical, or are you like, fuck it, I'll just pick this guy?
No, I was a little analytical at first. I mean, you can be analytical for the first two rounds, I think, and do kind of base your picks off of the other people's picks. And since it's a smaller league of 8 people, you really kind of had to pick and choose early who your star players would be, both for a specific position like running back and quarterback, because those are the positions that a lot of points get taken up early. So
I will tell you this. I do regret not taking Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey. Thank you, buddy, for all you did this year. You really dicked me there. Yeah, speaking of dick.
Wasn't that the first overall pick that you had? It was McCaffrey?
It sure was. But speaking of dicking people, you had some adversity to go through because, believe it or not, our commish, Dick here, broke the number one cardinal rule of fantasy fucking football.
I'm going to defend myself.
You get ready to do that because you're going to have to. Keith, you had to play the championship in week 17 when you don't fucking do that. And let me add, what was the one thing I texted you, Dick, when you asked me at the beginning of the year, what do I do?
You didn't say that.
I said, hey, do whatever the fuck you want. Just don't make the championship week 17. That's it. That's all I said.
I'm pretty sure I gave all of you guys access to see all the fucking rules, and nobody caught that. So
nobody, the commish does that. I'm not going to fucking do that.
I asked for your opinion.
My input. I did. I said, don't do one thing.
I'm pretty sure I explicitly told you to go look and tell me if anything was wrong.
Doing fantasy football knows not to do that. You fuck. Anyway, rant over.
I'm so Keith, glad you didn't win the league.
Keith, how did you deal with that, and did it bother you?
It was a little bit of a shock, to be honest, because I didn't catch it myself when he made the rules readily available to us. I just kind of assumed it would be at the end of the season of 16.
Oh, fuck you guys.
So when I started breaking it down, I was like, wait, how am I still in the running for this?
Right, because only a dumbass would do that. Yeah, okay.
So thank you to Kurt for not stacking up enough points on his team. So Kurt and another one of our team coaches was our owners was Chris, and he did not do the same. So I stacked up more points for my team and pushed them aside when it came to a tiebreaker. Props.
So glad I could help you there, buddy. So glad I could help you there. In
I
fact,
totally didn't realize that you made it into the playoffs like that. Totally did not realize that.
So if you're doing the math, I shouldn't have been playing dipshit for the last game into the season. Who did I lose to? I don't even remember. But
I think you lost to the guy who was 1-8.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been playing that team. I should have been enjoying the playoffs, playing. It was just.
Well,
anyway.
and Kurt lost, if I'm not mistaken, by it was only 10 points. So
I think
he would have
5.
It was close. So I was, biting my nails, shitting my pants, watching his score.
Because we saw the videos.
If he would, this was a week earlier though. So, anyways, it was pretty close.
Once again, 2020, the year of giving. I'm glad I could help, and then it actually was the year of taking. So, anyway, went right along with everything.
But going back to your original question, Kurt, how to draft, was it analytical or did you just do it free will? It did come back to haunt certain people towards the end, such as Dick, who had a great draft, had great players who sustained themselves through COVID and injury throughout the season, but albeit came back to bite him in the ass because his team was so good, those players didn't even play because it was week 17 and they got benched.
Yeah, that's very true.
All that shit talking. Talking.
That's why I lost out of all the money.
And just to give the listeners a little bit of feedback, we had a decent league. We had 8 players. We didn't have too many auto drafters, which I've already gone on my rant about that.
Well, one of the auto drafters almost fucking won the whole thing.
Almost. That's why I was rooting for Mr. Keith here at the end. But it's funny to see when you hear these guys that just die hard the shit out of it. I'm in between. I'll give you that. I'm a little bit of a note taker. It's just funny when you hear about the guys who are like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take this guy. He plays with my favorite team. And then they go on and win the league. So I'm glad to hear that it wasn't that. But good stuff. That's why you have the joy of being with us today here from wherever you're at, Keith.
The ass end of New Jersey.
New Jersey. Well, then we just got fucking accents for the rest of the fucking episode. I'm kidding. I won't do that anymore.
Did you not know that?
I knew he was East Coast. Got it. Okay. Ass end of New Jersey. I just hadn't watched enough Sopranos this week to prepare myself. So you want to get into what's in our glass?
So, Dreamers, as we always do, we're going to be drinking as we do this podcast, if you can't already tell by the bullshit being spewed out of Kurt's mouth. We're going to get into our first glass, or our first dram, rather. So, Keith, to kind of show you what we do and to kind of, not put you on the spot, I'll go ahead and give the first example. I've got with me Henry McKenna 10-year Bottled and Bond. This is a great glass. It's a Heaven Hill product. If you haven't had it before or you can't find it, you have 2 different Henry McKennas.
So, good question for all the new beginner drammers. Could you explain what bottled and bond means?
Yeah, totally. All right. So Bottled and Bond is going to be a 100-proof whiskey that is bottled in a bonded warehouse with government oversight and is going to be 4 years old. It is that way because of the 1897 Bottled and Bond Act. So that is a little history nugget for you there. The key here is most of the Bottled and Bonds you're going to get are going to be typically mid-grade shelf price. Like they're going to be in that $20 to $50. This is an example of that. This used to be $25 to $30 at your local liquor store, but in 2019 it won the San Francisco Best in Show Whiskey at the World Spirits Competition. And at that point, the secret got out and this jumped up. You really can't find it retail for 25 to 30 anymore. You're going to be pushing 40, 50, $60 depending on where you're at, typically in that 50 to 55 price range. So that's what I got. Kurt, you want to go and hit us with what you got?
Good stuff, Dick. Yeah. So as we spoke about in prior episodes, I'm going to kind of go back and forth, try to hit up a Texas whiskey at least every other episode because of, all the things we discussed last year. So I went to the liquor store and I kind of got two curveballs thrown at me. I had went in intentionally expecting to get one that I mentioned. I will not mention it right now until I actually grab the bottle. So the dude that was working there said they had a 1792 foolproof store pick, which you're not going to not get. Okay. So I had to grab that. That was the first curveball. And then the second curveball was that he saw me with the bottle of Texas whiskey that I will eventually get. And since he was already on fire showing me the 1792 foolproof store pick, I listened to him. He recommended what I got today. He said that comparing the two, this one should be a little bit better. And for the price, I went ahead and went with it. I have Sweetheart of the Rodeo, right? With a fancy looking, looks like the lady from a lady picture.
Kind of looks like a lady.
Sweetheart of the Rodeo.
You looking like a man.
Let's insult the distillery while we're at it. I guarantee you it's somebody's grandmother or something.
That's fine. But it's not a portrait.
Anyway, so it is a 90 proof, 4-year-old. It is a 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malt mash bill. It is a Texas whiskey. It is from Ledbetter, Texas, which actually isn't too far up the road from me. I think it's actually about an hour and a half from the Houston area. Did a little research. Ledbetter, yes, but guess where this stuff is distilled at, Dick?
No idea, man.
It's distilled in Indiana.
Oh, that narrows it down quite a bit.
So then that means it's a what product?
It is an MGP product.
It is an MGP product, so a little controversy to the Texas, but it's good stuff. It's funny you said, because this one also won a Texas Whiskey Festival Award and won a San Francisco World Spirits Competition Award. Very good stuff. But as I was tasting it and doing my research, I was like, oh, yeah, it's got MGP written all over it, but it does get that Texas heat as it is matured in Texas. So
that's horse shit. You shouldn't be able to enter you should not be able to enter a Texas whiskey competition with MGP juice.
Remember, we're not shitting on our home state.
I'm not. I'm simply saying that in order to be in a Texas whiskey competition, you should have to be distilled.
So any high
in Texas.
Okay, enter a Texas one. Okay, I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
I think it's just more like the rules of the competition are kind of crap.
Yeah, like an instant chili in a chili cook-off. Got it. All right, Keith, what you got in that there glass?
All right. So I have the John E. Fitzgerald Larceny 1870 92 proof small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Now, this is generally created from about 100 barrels or less, and it's supposed to be mirroring a profile of a 6-year-old Kentucky. And I've never tasted it before. Initially, I caught some cherries and vanilla, but I'm sure we'll dive into that deeper. But this is a wheated bourbon mash bill. So a little bit.
You're gonna be a weeder bitch.
A little bit something different there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and try that Texas whiskey next time. But this one threw some curveballs at me, as I've said earlier. We'll talk about that when we get to the end of the second dram. Dick, you ready to take us into the second dram there, buddy?
Yeah, man, let's get there. All right, so as we go into the second dram, we'll give you our nosing notes at the end of this dram. We want to hit a couple things, though, and this is really where we're going to talk about just sports headlines, some of the big storylines happening. We've got a few of them. I think probably 4 that we'll hit here. I think the funnest one to talk about, though, is the Harden trade. So I'm going to kick it over to Keith first. Do you have any thoughts or insights on the Harden trade? He's coming up to the East Coast to be with you guys.
I know the prostitutes and strippers have been closing their doors, not only to COVID, but to Harden as well. I don't know what else is going on with the extra weight, but we'll see what happens. It's Harden. He's got a beard. He's weird. we'll see how it goes.
So do you think the Nets are going to be more competitive now with Harden, or do you think they're going to have like a spoils of riches situation where nobody knows how to pass a fucking ball? I saw a statistic up on ESPN after the trade, and they were talking about the top 5 players based off percentages who take the last shots in games, and 3 of them are now on the Nets. So what do you think, man?
So I don't know. I mean, the whole dynamic of the NBA has changed a lot. So now with the COVID and the bubble and how we're going to do it moving forward. So I don't know if that statistic is just going to stay true throughout the season, and if they're going to be forced based off of, social circumstances to change their play. Who knows? Could be interesting.
What about you, Kurt? Got anything to add to that?
Well, Keith covered the strippers, so I'm glad he talked on that first. I don't know, man. I mean, obviously they can be more competitive, but where the hell's Kyrie Irving? I have no idea. Stephen A. Smith was ranting the other day how that dude should just retire. So that's a good start. I'm interested to see if Kyrie's like, oh, okay, well, now I want to come back and play, which I think that's already been on the interweb saying that he is. Yeah, they're going to be more competitive. It's James Harden. I mean, but being in the area, you definitely got a lot of fans that were like, cool, see you later, dude. So,
I mean, how many first round draft picks did they get?
Buttload. But Oladipo, we'll see what Oladipo turns into if he comes back from that injury. Cousins, Wall, Oladipo. They got a young stud he's bounced around a couple of years and he's coming out of his shell this year. I've got to look up his name before I fully commit to that comment. But so things may work out for both teams.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's too soon to tell, right? It is anything like that. Now, I do want to hit on something that Keith brought up, and he talked about the bubble. So while we're talking about NBA, we've had a few cancellations because of COVID. We've had people obviously go on COVID restrictions based off of NBA protocol. I think really the question I have for both of you is the NBA going to be able to make it the rest of the season as is, or are they going to have to revert back to the bubble?
So it's an interesting question because we get a lot of different feedback being on the East Coast versus, you guys being in the Central Standard Time. And the NBA as a whole is going to have to make a lot of changes to suffice different local state rules and regulations, because if teams are going to be traveling again, they're going to have to be held to some sort of standard traveling in and out of states. We saw what happened kind of midway through the NFL season where teams started catching it and lineups just got blown up, and it was a big effect on fantasy. So I think it's without a doubt something's going to happen. Now, if they're going to revert back to a complete bubble, I can't say for a fact. We'll have to see what holds true, but I think if they start the season one way, it's going to be hard to revert it back to a different standard.
So should I invest in the pitch I got to open a bunny ranch in Orlando? Should I invest in that?
I mean, for sure. And
another
dram to that, for sure.
Totally hop on that.
That might take away some of the concerns we have with the strippers and chicken legs or chicken wings.
Definitely. Christian Wood was the dude that's balling out this year for Houston. As I'm just going to do a little quick check-in. It's 3-13. Kansas City's beating the Browns. We started this recording as the game got going. 3-13. Mahomes was in the blue tent for a little bit, but now he's on the sideline looking at the pad. So Chiefs fans probably take a big breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and I just want to do a quick shout out to my starting tight end for the entire season, Travis Kelce. You got me over the hump, you carried me through, and you got points for the team. Thank you, brother.
Continue to rub it in, why don't you? All right, moving on.
I did hear that Travis is a regular listener to our show, so I'm sure he'll hit you.
Absolutely, yes, he is. I don't want to talk about it. Can we just we don't have to talk about this, Dick. We could just move on. I think it's enough has been said about it.
No. We have to talk about it because nothing's been said about it. So, no, we have to talk about it. And a lot's changed since the last time we talked. It sounds like the rabbit hole's getting a little deeper. What thoughts do you have on the Houston situation?
I mean, we're fucked. I don't know. I tried ignoring it, like I said on the last episode.
Wait, are you talking about as a city for all teams, or are you talking specifically the Rockets or the Texans
We're
too?
talking Texans.
Sounds
I mean,
like
Well, this was about the Texans, but yeah.
What about the Rangers, guys?
sounds like everything's just been thrown in the same trash can and beat to shit for the last year here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought I heard that trash can banging. I was just saying.
that was my head on my desk. Yeah, man, you can't ignore it anymore. Adam Schefter just released a tweet maybe an hour and a half ago saying speculation is Deshaun Watson, has played his last snap in Houston. I keep hoping that maybe with the coaching hire, now I just heard a report that nobody wants to take the coaching job in Houston. So I think
you think Beneby noped out of that?
I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's just shitting on interviews or maybe he's a little occupied right now as we watch his offense, who's put up 13 points on the Browns already. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a huge mess. And it's sad that Cal McNair's kind of letting it get to this point. Now they're talking, that it was GM or Watson, and it looks like the GM is going to stay. I hope they can salvage it. If they cannot, I think a couple weeks go by and you have to look at the possibility, which is totally going against what I said in the last episode. But hey, you've got to start thinking as a fan. Take that Miami deal while it's hot. Okay, if it's going to be number 3 and Tua, fuck it. Take it. Do it now. Does Benemy get hired and then maybe can fix things with Watson? We should know a lot more within the next couple weeks.
I mean, we may know something more in the next couple of days. I mean, there could be more news today.
I mean, best wish, Benemy gets hired.
It is unraveling situation.
Best hopes are Benemy's hired by Wednesday or Thursday. Deshaun's, we're cool by Friday. But right now, it sounds like that is very wishful thinking.
So, Keith, do you want to kick Kurt in the nuts while he's down as well? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, they couldn't pick up Urban Meyer, so just give up. Just cut your losses and, work for next season. It's whatever.
And where did Urban go? Because I'm pretty sure we called this out in one of our previous podcasts, but
so did everybody. I mean,
no, not everybody has podcasts.
Okay,
right, Keith,
that's true.
Keith, where'd he go?
Where did he go? Where did Urban go?
I think he got there and said, "How did I get here?" He got there by a jet.
Jags, that's right. He went to the Jags.
Trevor Lawrence is how he got there.
Yeah. He saw that situation. He was like, all right, so you're going to build a bunch of new practice facilities. And you're going to get the number 1 player in the draft. I have a kick-ass running back, which went undrafted and saved my fantasy football league season as it picked up on a waiver. The Jacksonville, I mean, they may be a contender. Who else is in that division?
The Texans, the Colts, and the Titans.
So the Jags are picking up first-round picks, too. Because because of the New York Jets deciding to win a couple there.
Yep.
So they got a albeit bona fide, coach coming in. Now, how's the staff going to be? Is he going to change out the entire staff? I mean, does it even matter?
He is hiring quite a few people, stealing people.
Yeah,
away.
The reports were that he got all that situated, like, can this person come, this person? He's going to bring in whoever the hell he wants. That's what he got situated. I think that's what took a couple of days and weeks before he finally said, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, he was basically setting up his entire cabinet before he made a decision.
So what do we?
It's pretty nice.
So
Charlie Strong.
Yeah.
Got Charlie Strong doing that.
Maybe Tom Herman too.
I've heard talks of him and Mike Leach having phone calls, so we'll see what happens.
I did see that the Washington Post reported that Mike Leach was actually joining Joe Biden's cabinet.
Oh, so no, he won't.
No, they reported
they
that.
Accidentally reported the wrong Mike Leach. And then they got the facts wrong about the wrong Mike Leach. They said,
man.
So
now he's at Mississippi State now.
Yes, he is.
He down there in Mississippi, boy.
Oh, yes, he is. All right, moving on.
All right, let's go down to that next third rundown now. How you go?
All right. So before we get into that third round, we've hit all our headlines. We want to go ahead and just talk about the nose on the glass. So, Kurt, I'll hit it over to you first, man. What do you got on that on the nose of that?
Looks like he's getting
Jets?
ready for the.
It's a Jets football.
Oh my lord!
So for
I
those
have
who
what?
can't see, it's
I have. This is the most comfortable
Kurt?
shirt I've worn. I wear it 4 out of 5 days a week. I don't know what to tell you.
you do wash it in between, right?
Yeah, fuck it. Sometimes it's good luck.
You're an adult now. You can't just roll out of bed and just throw on a fucking Jets t-shirt for 5 days
It's
in
the
a row.
pandemic, though. Rules have changed.
You're an adult. You still roll out of bed with a big old booty. Anyway,
What?
anyway,
I did roll out of bed at 10
this
o'clock.
is not
today.
going on the show, by the way. Okay, we talked about the bubble.
It might.
No, fuck you. Okay,
So, Kurt, before we move into that third gram and get that poured, let's go ahead and get the nosing notes. What you got there, buddy?
okay. So definitely, it's hard to say now because now I'm like, oh, that Texas funk, but this is distilled in Indiana. I think they try to get that Texas heat feeling, and obviously the corn doesn't get soaked in as much, I think, as we've learned. Side note, when I asked the guy at the store, I was like, does it have that Texas funk? And he goes, Texas funk. So I was like, oh, how much do I trust this guy? But anyway, I took his word for it. Definitely get the corn on the nose. It's not Garrison strong, but it's there. Got a little bit of flour. And then the one I texted you, I was like, okay, I can play ball with this bad boy, was popcorn. I've got some popcorn. I'm guessing that's coming from the corn on the nose, but a little bit of popcorn.
When you say flour, do you mean like flour or like flowers, like floral?
Flowers, floral, a little mintiness there.
Nice.
But that popcorn and mint are the two that stick out a lot on the nose of that one.
All right, so Kurt, what you got on your nose, man?
Yeah, unfortunately, the popcorn smell kind of saves it. I'm gonna have to go C+ on this one. It's got Texas, even though it's not made in Texas. It's definitely no, still Austin that we got spoiled with.
We did. Pleasantly surprised.
I'm gonna wait for the
if
taste.
You haven't picked that one up.
The taste is definitely gonna save it a little bit, but I've got to go C+ on the nose for this one.
All right.
For this sweetheart of the rodeo, straight bourbon whiskey.
All right, Keith, do you want to go next? Do you want me to, buddy?
No, I'll take a shot. So, like I mentioned earlier, I definitely get. It's almost like a cherry and vanilla notes. I think that could blend together for almost like a butterscotch. But yeah, that's kind of what I got for you right now, unfortunately.
Nothing wrong with that. As we've said with our previous newbie guests, it tastes like whatever the hell you think it tastes like. So, Dick, how's that McKenna treating you? What's on the nose?
So this is honestly one of my go-to favorites. It's one of those, much like I treat Eagle Rare, not impossible to find, but I always have a backup to my backup until I start drinking something. That's just the way I roll. Right now, as I'm smelling it, and I'm a little hungover from last night, it was an Evan Williams Bottled and Bond night. Fun times. All right, I had getting honey, brown sugar, classic vanilla. On the back end, it's that red fruit / like banana smell. But overwhelmingly, it's honey. It's very honey. And it's not super dark. It's probably like a 5 out of 10, like dark amber color. So it's one of my go-to. I'm never gonna be mad at some Henry McKenna.
Cool. Then why don't you start it off with the grade on that, the nose of that?
For me, this is an A- on the nose.
A-. Keith, ABC minus plus acceptable. What do you got there on that?
You can't do D.
Larceny. You can absolutely
So,
do D.
I mean, I give it a solid A for sure. For me, I mean, it's not. You don't have the overwhelming burn from the alcohol. You get a lot of different aroma off of it. And as a weeded, you kind of get a little bit of a sweeter smell off it. So yeah, I give it an A.
So here's my chance to ask a newer member to whiskey. When you say the alcohol, we've had this conversation a lot. Would you say that there's a difference between like an ethanol alcohol and then the better whiskeys that have like a proof nose instead of ethanol? Or do you think it just kind of...
It's a good question. I feel like I'm kind of on the fence with that. But I think with the liquor alcohol, you will always get a residual corn or mash or something that lingers after the smell rather than the pure ethanol. So it's very pungent and it strikes you the same way, but you will be able to tell the difference between the two.
So would you say there's a different, like if I'm getting the ethanol off of say like an Absolute vodka as compared to like the ethanol on a good whiskey?
Well, let's take a good whiskey versus Everclear. You're going to be able to tell
which one. Just going to bring that
You're going
up.
to be able to tell which one is which, right? Because
after you wake up in the hospital, you will be able to tell the difference. So good job. So you gave that a good job. Okay.
For the record, that's the only alcohol I'm not allowed to drink in my house since I was 16.
Well, he never called you back. So let's move on to that third dram, right, Dick?
Yeah, so let's get into that third dram. And a couple topics we're going to cover here are the NFL playoffs and talk a little bit of college basketball too. We got an East Coaster on the line with us. We want to figure out what's going on over there. And so as we are recording this, we're watching the NFL playoffs, Browns versus Chiefs. Chiefs are driving. Looks like the score is 13-3 right now. So let's just get some thoughts. Just go around the horn. What are our thoughts on the most recent playoff games? Any surprises from yesterday, which we had Rams versus Green Bay, and then we have the Ravens and the Bills. And tonight we have Old Man Tom versus Old Man Drew. So let's go around the horn. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a great matchup. I am totally a Drew Brees fan, and I think they have been cheated, scammed, and shafted the past 2 years. And they've lost the past 6 years? They couldn't win this game to get in, something to that effect. But the Minnesota games I can remember, and then what was it, the Rams or something?
You had the helmet knocked the shit out of them.
So it was always like in the fourth quarter. It was some call that they left on the field, and I feel like they got shafted. So I'm definitely rooting on Drew Brees. I feel like he's kind of getting up towards the end of his playing ability. I think the wear and tears is showing on him more.
Yeah, he's done after the season.
Yeah. So I'm all for Drew Brees. However, the Bucs are definitely going to put up a pirate fight. They've got great receivers out there with Godwin and Evans, and I mean, unfortunately, Tom Brady is Tom Brady, so he's tried, true, and proven. So we'll see. It'll be a good game.
I'm kind of torn on this because everything you say I agree with. And then you go back and look at the 2 games this season, and it has been just an utter blowout by the Saints. And I'm not sure they can beat Tom 3 times. I'm just not sure it's there. I feel like there's some sort of old man wizard magic that Tom has, and it's like, nope, you're not gonna say my name 3 times and get away with it. I just don't see it happening. I feel like the Bucs are gonna have to pull this out, or they are gonna pull this out. I don't really care who wins. It's going to be on the History Channel. I saw there's a new a Nickelodeon thing. They're going to do it on the History Channel this time as to be written in the eons.
Yeah, no, and I'll back you on that because even though they're playing in New Orleans, it still goes to show that they do not have home field advantage with past history. So it ends up being the zebra on the field throwing that flag. That can be their end all. So
what about you, Kurt? What you got, man?
Yeah, you guys said everything pretty much. I will say this: the Saints did not get hosed last year. They just shit the bed and let old Kirky drive down the field and throw a touchdown. That was on them. We talked about this last week. It's going to be tough to beat Brady 3 times. If anybody can do it, it could be Drew. I think we went Bucs last week. I'll stick with that just to make it exciting because out of the 4 games, as the Chiefs are getting ready to kick a field goal to make it 16-3. If they do that, things are looking pretty good for them. So every game has happened the way it was supposed to. I did pick the Ravens. I didn't see. It's good. 16-3. 3 minutes left in the second. Did Lamar Jackson get a concussion last night?
He left the game with a concussion protocol. I did not see any more updates on that.
How much time How much time was it when
There was 8 minutes left.
Okay.
Under that.
Yeah, I saw the pick six, so that put them in a big hole. Every game has gone the way it was supposed to. The Packers beat the Rams. I think it was competitive for a little bit. The Bills beat the Ravens. Chiefs are beating the Browns. So I'm hoping it's a little different. I would love to see a Bucks-Packers game next week. But, shout out to Drew Brees' alma mater. Austin Westlake won the Texas High School 6A state championship last night, as well as Katy, Texas won the Division II 6A state championship. So some of those powerhouses we talked at the beginning of the year about, Dick, I mean, just shows that we're fucking awesome and we're always right. All right.
Amen to that. I think the only one we didn't talk about that was in those final 4 teams was
Cedar Hill.
Cedar Hill,
who's had some dudes, in the last couple.
I think they won the 2006. Yeah. 2006.
They had a quarterback / he could throw, he could pass. He was all over the place. Of course, I've lost his name, but they showed a couple of his highlights last night. And
I think it was Sam McGuffey.
No, fuck, stop. It was one of those guys that when I saw it, I was like, oh, hell yeah. But yeah, definitely good stuff.
All right, so before we move on, we hit on the other games that happened, the playoff games. Green Bay did what we thought Green Bay was going to do. And we had the Bills and the Ravens. I don't think anybody saw that as an upset, even though you picked the Ravens. Keith, I really want to kind of look at you. Like, did you have any additional thoughts on those 2 games? I mean, anything surprise you?
Oh, I mean, Lambeau Field, snow, thumb surgery, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones. I mean, let's be real. They had a stack there. If they were able to make it more competitive, it would have been fun. But Darnold was out.
Yeah.
They didn't stand a chance, unfortunately. Now the Bills, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was surprised it was as competitive as long as it was, because it looked like it was competitive into the second, third quarter.
Did Donald play at all?
I know he was crying on the field with like a minute 48 left.
Oof.
I know.
But then I was really anxious to see the Ravens and Bills. I mean, I thought I feel like the Bills were going to win it no matter what, but I did not expect it to be the blowout that it was. And then you have Tucker. Another shout out to my kicker for the season, fantasy. He did great throughout the year. Two hitting the uprights, left and right.
Doink.
I mean,
Mafia,
it was insane. But when they showed the wind at the stadium, once you got above a certain height on the field, that wind started whipping. And when he was out there 40-plus yards, you have to get that height to get the kick in. So I don't know if that really played an effect went into effect for him. But I was definitely shocked. I thought Jackson was going to be able to do some of his little magic, at least make it a closer game. But with those missed kicks, they just kept getting hit down and they weren't able to get back over the hump. So props to the Bills. And, I mean, Josh Allentown up here on the East Coast, they renamed it for him like a bunch of bozos that they are, the Bills Mafia. But I think they've got a good chance. They got a strong team.
Fired.
And him and Stefan Diggs have, a good relationship. So it's going to be fun to watch them into the future.
Okay, so that brings me to a good point that I want to ask. It looks 16-3, still early, 2:49 left in the second, plenty of time. But the way it's looking, could we kind of take a prediction? I won't even talk about the other game because
no, I want to.
Okay, all right. Well, then, Dick, be a dick. So, Bills Chiefs right now, the way it's looking.
Wait, hold on, Dick. Don't be such a Richard, okay? Just don't be such a Richard, Dick. All right.
Dick. I'm gonna do this.
I heard you say it was Dick 4 times. So
okay, then we'll make that simple. Let's get that one out of the way because we don't fucking know. Okay, if it's the Packers against the Bucks, who wins that game? Keith, go.
Where they play?
They would be playing in Lambeau.
Pack.
Okay, Dick.
Pack.
Okay, so that was easy. I'm gonna go if it's the Bucks. Yeah, I'll go Pack. All right, if they're playing Drew Brees, they're still playing in Lambeau. Pack. Okay, Keith.
Pack.
Okay, that was fucking rocket science. Let's get back to the one I was talking about. If this holds up the way it should, it'll be the Chiefs, Bills Mafia in Kansas City. Who do you think, Dick?
The way the Chiefs are playing right now, I'm going to say the Chiefs.
Okay, Andy Reid.
It's the hardest one.
Andy Reid, first of all, he's a genius. We know that, Mahomes and the players can execute his genius. However, the Bills have been able to stack up points on opponents, so they can score. The Chiefs have not put up large point scores this season. So it's an interesting fact to put into the formula if you're thinking about that. But it's going to be a close game. At home, I got to give the advantage to Kansas City. They're the reigning champs. So let's see what they can do.
Yeah, they put up this real interesting fact that Andy Reid and Mahomes off a bye week the last couple of years has been like phenomenal. Huge points. Huge. But okay, so I think they've been doing obviously the find a way to win. I think they can pull out a win against Buffalo and Kansas City. I think that they will do whatever they have to do to win 3 points, whatever they have to do to win like they've done all season. If they play the Packers, I don't think that's gonna, they'll get in trouble for that when that time comes. But I won't even get there. I'll save that for our Super Bowl preview. But
Packers are going to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, cool. Good talk. They have to beat. Fuck you. Moving on. Good predictions. Glad we could talk about it.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about college basketball then. We've got our East Coast guy.
Dickie V, baby!
Got our East Coast guy with us. So, Keith, we really want to have you on the show, obviously talk about, the fantasy football, shoot some shit with you and drink some whiskey. But we really want to understand your perspective on East Coast basketball, even in the COVID series or in COVID season.
Can I foreplay him a little bit more than that? I mean, come on, dude. You just barely gave him the. I want to set him up for it.
Go for it.
So the reason I go East Coast basketball with you, Keith, is because is that the sport? Like, is that the thing there, or is it hockey, or what is it?
So, complete disclaimer: I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I am a native Texan. And I do not claim the East Coast to anything other than the fact that I'm stationed here with my active duty wife.
All Texas schools are basketball schools now. So
to answer your question, Kurt, it's a unique area because it's the tri-state area. So we have the Mets, the Yankees, we have the Giants, we have the Jets, then we have a bunch of hockey teams. And each state, so then we have Philadelphia, we have New York, we have New Jersey, this whole area of conglomeration. Then you've got on this side, you've got the Phillies, you've got the Flyers, you've got the Eagles, all in this tight squeezed area. So if you shrank Texas and put San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas within a 200-mile radius of each other, that's kind of what this area is like. It's just kind of chaotic with fans being, honest and pledge their allegiance to this. But if you go down 50 yards, someone else is, lifelong fan of the Mets. And so it's really weird. And I might live in the ass end of New Jersey, but everyone is a Philadelphia Eagles fan here. So where we are at, it's almost like an extension of South Philly. It's really weird.
Nice. So who would be you obviously being a Texas boy, the obnoxious Cowboy fans as Dick, who I have it on tape last week. Dick is going to be a Houston Texans fan, baby. Throw him up. Eight's down, hold it down. Who would be?
Said I was leaning that way.
Oh, I got you lean. So who would be are they worse? And who would be able to compete with the obnoxious Dallas Cowboy fans?
Philly fans.
Easily the Philadelphia Eagles fans. They are.
Are they worse?
So,
I mean, they did cheer when Michael Irvin broke his leg.
You have to take it into perspective, and I think each fan base has a certain subset of individuals that are bad. But from all the coverage, everything that you see, they are aggressive. They like to fight in the stands. They like to throw bows with each other, with opposing forces. It might as well have been Oakland back in the 1990s with the Raiders.
So Oakland now. Got it.
It's bad. And then when you throw in a terrible season, you're not sure what the hell the quarterback is doing or the coach. The owner's not going to the freaking games. People are just pissed and livid.
Not to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, so I'm just saying, I think as of right now, and especially in relation to where I'm at and what I see, I think Philly fans are just, I mean, they're comparable with the Dallas Cowboys, and they meet each other, multiple times in the season. So I don't know if some, virus has spread between fan
Intertwining thing.
bases. I know, it's crazy.
So I feel like
I heard there was a new COVID virus that was specifically.
Yeah, it's called Cow Eagle.
Cow Eagle. Cow Eagle. I like that. I feel like Cowboy fans are a little bit more. I feel like they're unrealistic, obnoxious. I feel like Philly fans are more like, yeah, we fucking suck again, obnoxious. Like they're like they know they
Super
suck.
Bowl 3 years ago.
Right, and we talked about that it was the biggest drop off like in sports history. Okay, so I'm glad. I wanted to know the most obnoxious fan base up there, so we had a good idea. So the reason I talked to you about East Coast basketball is because you think of the traditional powerhouses, you think of the Georgetowns, the St. John's. You're around a lot of traditional badass basketball teams. I know I had another one.
Syracuse.
If I'm looking at my chart here, I had St. John's, Georgetown. So yeah, are they like crazy about it up there? And if they are, I mean, is it a little bit more exciting than in Texas when it comes to college basketball?
Texas is the basketball state now.
No, I mean, I'll agree with you. So a lot of these colleges, especially like Georgetown, they don't have football. So their biggest sports are basketball and I think hockey, maybe, I don't know, or swimming. What the hell? I don't know. But a lot of these schools, like Syracuse, they have a great program for football, but they also have a great basketball team. So I think they definitely stand up to what Texas has to offer. And if not more so, because there's a supportive fan base and the alumni associations for those schools really put their money towards the basketball programs versus the football. So I think for that comparison, definitely the East Coast teams have a foot up on the competition, just at not only support but monetary base too.
Nice. Seton Hall was the other one that I was thinking about. Do you get obviously asking you during the year of COVID? Before COVID, did you have any interest? Did you go to any games? Any interest afterward? If you could go see one team in action, who would it be?
I'd probably go to Georgetown.
Nice.
Because we have family ties to it, so we could probably get tickets easy and have a place to stay to watch it.
Badass. Sounds like a perfect time to invite me and Dick over. All right.
I wanted to go see a crew match.
My brother-in-law did crew too, so we could probably get him the
crew match.
Is that the way you say it?
I think it's a crew duel, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
You guys
use the jousting
have
sticks?
to fill me in.
That's my new favorite sport. Two dudes on a kayak with a fucking oar going at each other.
All right. Well, this is new to me.
They did so. Alexander Hamilton, back in the day.
I watched that musical too.
Oh, here's a little backstory for me and Keith. We were deep into an underground online curling league one time. They got pretty serious circa 2010. Yeah.
2009 and 2010.
Yeah. We got deep into that. Turns out there's a big crowd for that online. We would spend hours of the night doing online curling. Spent some of my college tuition on that, but that's a whole other conversation for another
I've
time.
never heard that story. What the fuck is that?
Yeah. So curling, I can't tell you what Winter Olympics it was. It was big. Me and Keith got tired of playing in our kitchen, college roommates, by the way, sweeping the floor. So we found an underground, like you could literally, people would just join in with the chat. It was like kind of like an AIM setup, and you would just. It
was like a chat roulette, but it was for playing curling online.
A lot less.
Were you playing
pics.
online curling, or was it like videos of you guys curling against you? I don't understand the.
No, it was a simulated curling.
Shit.
You would hear each of us screaming from our rooms. It was good stuff. So, all right, let's talk a little bit more about college basketball.
And you said you weren't a nerd.
I'm not a nerd. That was not a nerd. That was like Fight Club, but with sticks. Okay.
And big rocks.
So college, they're called stones. Get it right.
I don't want to hear about your stones. All right.
So looking at college basketball, the traditional teams are in the top 25. Gonzaga 1, Baylor 2, Villanova 3, Texas 4, Iowa 5, and so forth. Not too many big surprises this year. There is one that I want to talk about. I'll let you guys chime in just a second on this. But you start looking through the list. You start looking for those smaller schools, those smaller traditional basketball schools. You get down to 24 and you find St. Louis. So that's exciting. Other than that, your typical college basketball season. You guys got anything to add before I go on my little surprise of the year?
I think my question is go ahead.
So I don't understand the concept of staggering the team on the bench when they live together, practice together, have, threesomes with the girl around the corner together. It doesn't make sense to have them staggered that way. And it just annoys me. And then they do these high fives and everyone gets off the bench when somebody does an alley-oop dunk. It's unnecessary. Just, Jimmy V.
Okay, so then you sent me in a rabbit hole. Do you think we should be playing college basketball right now?
Yes, we can play college basketball. We've played other sports. We played college football. I mean,
I see what you're saying, but they didn't have to spread out the football team on the sideline.
It's just for show. I think it's a stupid show of an effort that just pisses me off. It's a personal thing.
I think it's to prevent the opposite of you have a very good point. I think it's to prevent the other ones that are like, look, I should be able to go, do whatever I want. These guys are sitting on a bench on each other's laps. I think that if anything, it's a save face tactic. I think.
COVID doesn't exist in between the hashes, or apparently on the hardwood.
What if they gave the hallway guy a high five, caught it, sat next to the team, done, season over? I don't know.
Wouldn't that be catching the clap instead?
Oh, you would know. So, the one team that was kind of Kentucky. Kentucky's not been Kentucky this year. I think they were 4-8 or something. They had a 1-5 record there for a little while. I think that
Zag is Kentucky.
Do what?
Zag is Kentucky.
Zag is Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean they have the chance to run the table.
Zag is the gotcha.
But going defeated. Exactly. I mean, they could be. Look at the rest of their schedule. They could go undefeated in the regular season. I mean, the last team to do that was the 14-15 Kentucky team.
That goes back to is Kentucky really that great? They've won one national championship in the last 15 years or so, but that's a whole other conversation. You know how we had the big spiel how I think COVID hurt the football teams, especially the younger football teams like the Spencer Rattlers of the world?
Yes, I remember that conversation.
I think that's what happened in Kentucky when you have a bunch of freshmen that don't play together. They need the offseason. They need to prepare. They need the scrimmages more than anybody. They didn't get to do that. Thus, you have a shitty Kentucky team this year. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I see you shaking your head.
It's not that I don't agree. I think there is a separation, though, that happens between being able to successfully practice and scrimmage a football game versus being able to play or scrimmage a basketball game, right? You can do pickup games a lot faster. You can go outside and shoot hoops by yourself. There is more isolated practice and efforts and drills you can do by yourself in basketball than you can in football. You typically need 2 or 3 guys a route running, throwing the ball, pitch and catch, what do you want to call it? We covered that in that episode. On the flip side, anytime you're not able to have full contact sports, detailed, breakdown of games, game footage, practices, etc., there's going to be a hampering to your best efforts being put on the floor. But I don't know. I feel like without COVID, this would have still been our top 25.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you.
Kentucky's talent.
Yeah, I agree with you. Basketball is one of those sports you can play all year. They're playing all year round. Tournaments, other teams. I think there's just that old cliche, like the teams gelling. I mean, we've talked about it. You're going to get a 5-star guy who can play ball. But then how much does it even out when you're playing against other teams that have those type of dudes and they've been able to, shitty sports cliche, gel a little bit more than you have.
How's that any different, though, than every other Kentucky team where you have Karl Anthony Towns coming in, which is not 14-15, and he's gone next year?
They get
they're
to
one and
do
done.
the transfer the year before thing and start school early and get to practice with these guys.
Sure. Okay. I don't know. I don't feel like it's that different. You can't tell me. Well, you can tell me. I will disagree with you. This is the same top 25 that we would have seen without Kentucky, but Kentucky's had bad years, even without COVID.
Relies on, and that's because Duke started off rough. What other teams than Duke, Kentucky?
This is like the second year where Duke started off
rough. What other teams rely on freshman talent because of how much they lose every year, as much as those two teams?
Kansas.
I don't think so. I don't think. Okay, do they have as many top draft picks as Kentucky and Duke do? Okay,
no, probably not.
Maybe North Carolina.
Maybe, and they're not on this list either. That's a fair point.
Right, it is.
I'll not. I'm giving you credit where you're going to be a dick about it.
Say it again. Say it, Keith.
All right, this is yeah. Thank you for going there. Tired of talking to you about this.
All right, so then I guess we could say that that's a wrap on our college basketball segment. Or no. Dick, you had some other things.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I guess I said this a couple of times jokingly as we've talked through this, but is Texas just a bunch of basketball schools now? I mean,
no, that's
Tech, Baylor, Texas, A&M's not.
That's
We're
where
still
you
football
become.
school.
That's
I know the bunch of motherfuckers are.
I go to A&M. That's when Houston. I had a good year this year, so I get to say this comes out. I mean, no,
it's a valid question.
Texas just won a Sugar Bowl like 2 years ago.
Okay, and they fired their coach.
We had a good year. We won a bowl game. We're the only football program in Texas.
I'm simply asking. Remember when Houston was good? All right. Remember when Houston was good at football? Now they're in the top 25
Houston's
in basketball.
Always been a basketball
Baylor's
school.
Been at the top 25. I don't know if I agree with you on that.
Because of Fly Sam and Slamajama. Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler.
In the 1980s and 90s? That's not always a basketball school.
Then, well, the gloves are coming off. Keith, you want to step in and chime in on this at all? Do you think Texas A&M is the only football team in Texas right now?
He kind of agrees with me.
I mean, Houston
is not a football school.
But I'm just starting to think in past seasons now. I mean, we've had a lull for sure. I have to say that. But I wouldn't say that it's all up to A&M now. I mean, A&M didn't have a stellar season either. So
what the fuck are you talking about? What a goddamn Orange Bowl.
I had the balls on this guy. I mean, Texas A&M stuff, the football program. No, Tech.
And I'm not speaking historical. I'm saying right now, the last 2 to 3 years, we are trending. Texas has been putting subpar,
ever since,
but they're doing well. Tech is doing.
Ever since you decided to be dipshits and leave the Big 12.
Now we're talking.
It has been different. So, but I will agree there has been a trend in some colleges that they have become more basketball school. And
I'll even back you up a little bit on that argument because where's the one SEC school that you see on this list
for basketball?
Yeah.
Clemson? No, I mean SEC.
Tennessee.
Clemson,
and then you got lonely Missouri at 26 based off CBS Sports.
Yeah, so Tech obviously.
Whereas the SEC isn't a basketball conference. Maybe that's the argument.
Here we go. So Tech obviously, due to their recent success in college basketball, has become a basketball school of late.
They almost beat Baylor.
They beat Texas at the buzzer. Mac McClung, there's a former Georgetown transfer who's doing really good things over there in Lubbock. But no, dude, it's not. Texas is not a basketball school. All right.
Basketball state.
TCU is not a basketball school.
TCU is not in anything.
Whoa, dude. Once again, you're talking about a program who has a Rose Bowl victory in the last 15 years.
Okay.
So my point is, no, they're not just automatic. This isn't a basketball state. This is the fucking king of football in Texas.
To be a basketball state doesn't mean that everybody has to be good at basketball, but your basketball programs are more successful than most of your football programs.
Well, yeah. So reround the question. So collegiately stating,
Yes.
Texas as a collegiate question is becoming more of a basketball state.
Success-wise, yeah, I would think so.
I would agree with that statement. I mean,
culturally, we're football through and through.
Culturally, yeah, through and through, from pre-K all the way up through college, we are a freaking
up to college
state.
Apparently.
Well, God damn it, Dick. Jesus Christ. But yes.
Well, apparently A&M's the only football program in Texas. So I don't know. I mean, you win one Orange Bowl. So look at this guy tooting his horn over here.
Toot, toot.
All right. Good stuff. I'm glad to say fuck you every now and then.
All right. So before we get in the fourth round, let's talk about what we got as far as like tasting palate notes on these things. As Keith switches over to the Elijah Craig 94 proof small batch, right?
Well,
oh yeah, baby girl.
You got to give us your taste on the last one before you change your palate there.
I'm cool with
it. So what do you got on that? What did you get on that palate of the Larceny, Mr. Keith?
He's doing the Kentucky Chew.
Come back to me.
All right, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
All right, so before we hit Keith, he's switching over. He's got to get a little bit. He's getting two liquids in his mouth at the same time.
Speaking of during tasting, though, while we're on the note, do you guys refresh your palate with crackers or anything as you go through?
No.
Just a question.
Water.
Just a question.
No, it's a good,
I just do water.
Question because if I had chocolates next to me, I would be doing that. As I learned at 1919.
Now, do you do like a 90% coca or do you like do an 80-20?
I don't like using.
He does Hershey's.
I do Hershey's. Yes. I don't like the high coca because I think it leaves that like, you know what I'm talking about? Like
it's a bitter bite.
Taste. Yes, that's what I think it leaves. But if I did have those with me, I would probably do that. We did that at a couple of the whiskey meetings I've done before.
Speaking of Hershey's, Keith, did you hear that Yuengling is coming to Texas?
This is a big thing.
Who?
Yuengling.
I thought it was Yuengling.
Beer.
Really?
I pronounce it Yuengling.
It's Yuengling. No, that's...
Yeah, and they have their Hershey's chocolate porter, which when they posted on their Twitter account, we hit them up and asked them the question. They did not confirm nor deny that the Hershey's chocolate porter might be part of that distribution. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah. So how old is that establishment? I mean, they've been up here in the East for
that's the oldest. That's the oldest brewery in America.
They're up and down the East Coast.
That's their thing.
They partnered with Coors as for distribution. So they're going to start using Coors and I think Coors distribution to get to the West. But they're doing like state by state. This won't be until fall of this year. So I'm sitting here fucking thinking about it all summer.
That is their thing, though. That's their, I think it's even on the can, oldest brewery in America. The first time I had it was Delaware.
First time I had it was in Florida.
It is an East Coast thing.
I had it every Christmas Eve because our neighbor would have a party and he had a contact who would actually mail him a shipment.
Oh, nice.
Of like a cooler. Enough to fill a cooler with Yuengling. And it was it was tasty stuff even when I didn't even know what I was drinking. I was like, this is awesome. And so then growing up and maturing a little more, I finally realized like, holy cow, that's how he had to get it. So it's pretty cool. That's interesting that I hope it holds its allure as it kind of trickles out. I liken that to Whataburger. Whataburger is no longer a tried and true Texas company anymore, and it's going to go everywhere. So, anyways,
Whataburger, White Castle, go.
Got to give Whataburger, dude, Whataburger. I can't.
I've yet to have White Castle.
White Castle, it gives me the runs. It's if you're in a pinch. Listen, if you're in a pinch and you've been on a plane for 8 hours and it's like, oh, it's White Castle, you'll go get White Castle. It's like, okay, I'll fill my stomach up. Or if you're drunk. But, I could be drunk. I could be sober as anything. It could be Christmas. It could be Easter. I would eat Whataburger if it was 6 hours on a plane and it was the first thing my wife gave me after she landed. I would eat it.
She did do that.
Yeah,
I got Whataburger last night at 2:00 in the morning for the spicy chicken sandwich.
Oh, that's all you need to know. You were drunk. That's all you need to know. Favorite East Coast chain, Keith? What do you got?
So again, it's difficult because I live in the bum end of New Jersey.
The Dingleberry of New Jersey?
Wawa. I don't know of any other chain. It's Wawa. I mean, it's a gas station chain, but that's all I know.
Oh, all right. Good stuff. All right. So, Dick, what's on your tongue for that McKinney 10 bottled and bond?
Henry McKenna 10 bottled and bond single barrel.
Single barrel. Big dick.
So typically with a single barrel, you're going to see a lot of variation from, bottle to bottle because they're not going to be in the same, barrel, obviously. This one was barreled, April 1st of 2009. So this is actually April Fool's barrel. It's not an overly complex palate. Honey, a little bit of bitter chocolate. There's a air of sweetness on this, but it's almost so sweet and so easy to drink that it almost takes over like a oily water. I know that sounds like impossible, but this almost water-like feel on the palate. Like it's kind of drinking a oily Propel. I don't know how to kind of put that in its own corner, in its own box, but it's good. I would give overall the palate, a B. It's not anything that's going to like sweep you off your feet. Nothing super proofy. Nothing, bad about it. It's solid. I don't know. That's what I got.
I'm going to say, man, for a go-to, you're kind of, maybe it's just one of those things you've tasted so many times that you just
I'm still hungover.
Don't know what to say about it. Or that is a good one. Keith, would you like to take the floor on that Larceny, or would you like me to go?
No, definitely. I'd like to give a little feedback on this nice Larceny small batch. Again, we started off with a little vanilla cherry, almost butterscotch on the nose. And then on the palate, I definitely get a lot of caramel or caramel, feed to the crowd, or what have it as you will.
It's fucking caramel.
And then honey. So to me, that's kind of not very complex, very straightforward. Not a lot there, but that's definitely very popping tastes on the palate. And then the finishes, I guess, me personally, I kind of feel this for a lot of different whiskeys. It is a little bit of oily off my palate. Depending now, 100 proof. I would be surprised if, again, this is a wheated, so I don't know what would be the major difference between a 92 proof versus 100 proof wheated versus rye or corn, and how much more oil or less oil. But this definitely has an oily residue to it, so it is smooth, and it leaves you with a little bit of a sweet aftertaste and a little bit of a kick.
I would say everything you described sounds like a typical wheater. It's going to be very sweet, sometimes floral on it, lots of honey notes. I would agree with you there.
Good.
I like everything you said.
Well, I like everything you said.
All right. Well, I guess I'll give my thoughts on the palate of this.
No, it's okay. We can move on.
All right. Well, go fuck yourself. Fuck you too then. Now, it's Texas whiskey, man, but apparently it's MGP. It's young. There's the corn. I did the dick move that you tend to do. I looked at what the note said about it to compare, and I'll do that with ones that I'm just not getting a lot off of. There was toasted nuts out there. There was orange. There was caramel. There's chocolate. Light oak. That's probably the only one that I really agreed with. I do get the light oak. You can taste it as it's, 4 years old, Texas heat, in and out of that white oak. But other than that, on the palate, man, the orange fruit is there a little bit. But other than that, it's just hit big time with that corn taste.
Oh, me so corny.
That's all I got. That's all I'm getting is really the corn is overpowering. The smell of the popcorn on the nose was probably the highlight of it so far, but I can't give you too much more than that.
Give it a rate.
On my palate,
Yep.
I thought the palate, once again, as I've tasted it throughout the episode, I thought it was going to save that C plus nose a little bit, but I'm going to keep the palate just right there. It does help it a little bit, but I'm going to stick with that C plus. What about you, Keith? What did you put for that Larceny on the palate?
I mean, it's not bad, but I think it's a balance between what it is and then the complexity. So I give it a B plus. So it's not bad, but it's not complex. So I feel like for a small batch, they are going for a specific taste that they want, and it just doesn't match up with what I was kind of expecting. So I'll go with a B plus, even though my aroma was an A.
So let me ask you this. Is something I like to go back to. Would you recommend it for the price?
Definitely.
How much you pay for it?
28.
Okay.
Oh,
I want to say it runs like 25 around here.
We got a pick by the Honey Badger. Kansas City leads 19-3 with 14:40. The second half just started. Not a good start for Mayfield, but Honey Badger showing out. Dick, what do you got?
Doesn't know how to carry a football.
No. What do you got on the grade for that palette there, buddy?
So the palette, I'll come in at a solid B. So once again, it's not anything to be mad at. It is pleasant. There is nothing negative to say about this. The one thing about McKenna, and I'll say, and it may be just the proof, right? The lack thereof is it is very, very airy, very light, and leaves you feeling happy. It just doesn't, it's like I said earlier,
Proof
knock
again?
you off your feet.
Price?
100. What I paid for it, or what it goes for? You're gonna find it that $50 range.
Okay. This bottle, I haven't mentioned it. Sweetheart of the Rodeo, as I continue my tour of Texas, $38. So, moving on as we get into our fourth and final dram, of course, right? Got a good topic for you guys. Fourth dram, we're heavy on football. They just released the Hall of Fame finalist. Couple, of course, they're going to be big names. Jared Allen, Zach Thomas, Reckham, Calvin Johnson, Rondé Barber, Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson. That's heavy. I mean, those are some heavy names right there. There's going to be the guarantees. Charles Woodson's going to be in, of course. Peyton Manning is going to be in. I don't necessarily want to talk about those guys. I want to talk about the could they be in? Should they be in? And I put together a little list, of a huge sample, but just a couple to concentrate on and get your thoughts, just to talk football, what you think about them and should they get into the Hall of Fame. So I'll start it off. Unfortunately, Keith's stalker status with Matt Ryan is yet to be answered. He's going to retire in a couple of years, so we don't have to talk about that next. But we will go into Mr. Questionable himself, even his facial expressions. Eli Manning, does he make the Hall of Fame? Little information on him before you answer. He is 7th in yards all time and is 8th in touchdown passes all time. The floor is yours, Dick. Take it away.
I don't know. I feel like this is always a popularity contest more it is like what you actually look like on the fields, what your results are. I'm going to say no on Eli, specifically because he'll probably make the Giants Ring of Honor or whatever they have, like the Cowboys do. But I think with the NFL Hall of Fame, like, does he get the jacket? I just say no. His brother will, but Eli won't.
Keith?
Or shouldn't.
Keith, Mr. East Coast.
So he was a big Walter Payton inductee every other year or something.
Yeah, he got that cool jersey.
Yeah, and I think he made a statement. I think time is your best friend when it comes to the Hall of Fame. And, it might not be 10 years, 15 years. It might be 20 years down the line. So there's so many people in there. What are the qualifications? I think he meets the qualifications. Will other people push him out and bump him out? Yes. Does he make it? I feel like at some point he potentially does if newcomers do not bump him further down that list than what he's at currently.
I get the bumping. That makes sense. I mean, this one's heavy, but I think if you're questioning if Eli Manning gets in, and of course, Eli, this is not the year he gets in. I just put a list together of the names that you hear discussed over and over and over. And we'll get to the guy who kind of inspired me for the list in a second. Eli Manning's in. I think you've got to be high off your ass if you don't think Eli Manning gets in. All the guys in front of him on the passing and the touchdowns are in. The dude has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That's the cherry on top. I mean, he beat the GOAT twice in the Super Bowl and got MVPs. Eli Manning is not a question. Now, why does he come up as a question? I don't know. But then when you compare him to, like, I don't know, the guy he battled with every year, Tony Romo, I'm going to go with Eli on that one. I don't think it's a question.
Well, the conversations between Tony Romo and Eli Manning, yeah. But once again, I'll go back to it's a popularity contest. People don't like Eli Manning.
Why? Because you were a Cowboys fan?
No, people just in general don't like Eli Manning.
I just don't. Again, I think I go back to the time frame. I think time is his worst enemy. He had a great supporting cast of people when he got those great wins. And as time went on, he stayed in. His image got diminished as those future years happened. And I think that stays with people. Now, hardcore football fans, I think will remember him before that. But as of right now, again, it goes back to popularity and recent memory and stats. And then beyond that, I don't know what the Hall of Fame looks at. So I say time. And at the end of the day, I think, yes, he gets in. I said that before. But again, I don't know when it will be. I don't think it will be soon, though.
I would probably align with that, Keith. I think there are going to be people in front of him that continue to beat him down the list. So.
Have you seen Eli Manning on Saturday Night Live? He's fucking hilarious. Just saying, for those that you don't think like him. He's a funny guy.
I love SNL. Didn't watch it.
He's a funny guy. I think he's in.
All right.
But good start to the reason I had this conversation. Second guy, close to me and Keith's heart. Put your guns up. Zach freaking Thomas.
Yes.
Fifth all
Should have been
time.
in a while ago.
Okay. Fifth all time on the tackle list. Side note, got to see him take his first pick 6 to the house his rookie year against the Oilers. Love me some Zach Thomas. I'm going to start it. I say he's in because of what you said. There's a lot of pressure that he didn't get in last year. He was like the, holy shit, why isn't he in? I think that'll give him some hops over some other people. I think he's in. Fellow Tech guy, Keith, what do you think?
No, I mean, get him in there. He's done his due diligence. He's on the. I mean, there's nothing I can say that, especially against a defensive player and a linebacker, right? Yeah. I mean, there's like those are my guys, and I got to give him credit. And they do. He has, he's a stellar person, stellar player. So he's in.
Very similar stats to Urlacher, and he's got the whole little guy thing going for him. He needs to get in there. Good. Glad that was an easy one. This is the guy that they don't know if he's going to retire. He started the conversation for me as I was driving to work, and it was on the radio. He definitely gets in the Hall of Fame for a number of kids he has. I mean, he has a whole lineup, has a team. Phillip Rivers. From what I was getting, there was the absolutely he's in, he's not in. He's 5th all time in yards and touchdown passes. But he's got the Marino effect that he didn't win a Super Bowl, even though Marino was a no-brainer. Does Phillip Rivers get in? Keith, I'll go to you.
Yes. I believe Phillip Rivers gets in. He has always been one of those outlier quarterbacks for his throwing style, but his ability to be a chameleon and adapt to different offense sets, he has the mind for it, and he just gets it. He's able to complete. I mean, look at the transition to Indianapolis this year, and look how far they've gotten. I think he's up there crazy enough with the best of them. And another stat, not only for a number of kids, but the inability to cuss, he's there. So he's an interesting character, but yes, I feel like he is up there definitely in the conversation for a Hall of Fame contender.
Does he play another year?
Man, he's Phillip Rivers. I feel like he will try to come in. What we've seen with Dorsett kind of sneaking in, I feel like there's a possibility that they could share the role, like they do with Tua and Fitzgerald. Whether that's something that they want to have as a staple for their offense, I don't know. But again, Philip Rivers, clearly he's easy to work with. He understands the game and he adapts. With 12 kids and a wife, he's got to be able to do that. So, does he have another year? I think he can. I think he can have another year. I don't see him. He didn't get hurt this year.
Yeah.
So he was protected well. So there's some aspects to this year that will enable him, if he wants to continue another year. Now go ahead.
That's a good point. That offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. Dick, same two questions to you.
Yeah, no, Philip Rivers should be in. I'd even put him in before Eli.
Dirty. What about the playing next year?
Don't think he's going to play again.
All right, Dick, short and sweet. All right, last but not least, we'll keep it short to get into that fourth ram and over that goal line. Calvin Johnson. The thing about Calvin Johnson is I'll give you his facts, and then I'll give you the big asterisk on him. He's 32nd in yards on the list. He's 47th on receptions, but he only played 9 years. So, of course, he was on track to do great, great things. Is that going to hurt him? Does he get it in? I didn't get to answer. I will say Philip Rivers, yes, absolutely. And Calvin Johnson, I'll start us off. No, I don't think he gets in.
That's where I disagree. I think Calvin Johnson definitely gets in. He's got the Barry Sanders situation where he had short seasons, but he had amazing production while he was there. And let's be honest, other than DK Metcalf and maybe a few others right now, he was the most exciting receiver to watch. He was most exciting to watch. They didn't call him Megatron for nothing.
But Barry was still in the top of like 5 categories.
He totally was. And I get that. But when you talk about like excitement factor and you're talking about the turn of the technology thing where we can tweet plays at each other, I go back to popularity. People still love Megatron.
Yeah, but it's not me and you voting for the Hall of Fame. It's old dudes.
Exactly. Who have Twitter accounts and watch the same shit we watch and love amazing players.
One no, one yes. He probably will get in. You know, another thing about it, probably. But fuck it. What do I know? Keith, what do you think?
No, I agree to Kurt or Dick's answer is that popularity, what he did with Detroit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What he did at Detroit, still, I mean, even I remember that. Just the effect he had and the memory that he created there. Once it goes to popularity, if he's in the mix in a weak year, why not put him in? So I think he gets into.
I agree with that point. All right. Well, we've had the opportunity of having Keith with us today. Awesome. Whiskey newbie. So we've got to ask you a couple questions. So Keith, as you've dived into whiskey this year, you need to answer 2 things for us. 1, what is your favorite? 2, has it been fun? Has it been exciting? And kind of like, are you like, oh, I'm good where I'm at in the whiskey game? Do you want to dig further into it, aka spend a little more, or just your overall thoughts of how whiskey's treated you this last year?
So, thank you for asking the question because I had the conversation earlier with my wife, and if we would have all gotten into this about 4 years ago, we would have been hitting it off together. And so for me, I kind of got to give y'all some credit, and I thank y'all because this is kind of my second to rebirth into the tasting of whiskey. You guys have gone far and above what I did previously as far as, creating and developing my palate and nose for the different whiskeys. And now we're at a different stage in our lives where we can actually afford it, right? So that goes a long way. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. There was a time where, just to be honest, I couldn't handle the sugar. It was too much for me. My hangovers were way too hard, and I had to take a step back. But if you do it, if you do it like we're doing it now and we have a good taste, I think I could do it. And I do enjoy having something like the amber water that we have versus, the high class wines and everything else. For me, this touches home more, and so I enjoy tasting this and exploring different bottles and different mixes and batches. So that's fun. To that effect, this year I haven't had that many bottles. These are the only 2 bottles that I've really bought this year. But my wife did give me a bottle of Scotch, so Macallan, a 12-year, and that was delicious. So,
Did you kill it already?
What's that?
Did you kill it already?
Oh yeah, that's done.
So do you have a favorite bourbon or whiskey in general?
No, not at this point. I do not.
Well, that's good. That's exciting. That leaves the
Yeah.
door open for
Yeah,
immense possibilities.
And and I think as you guys have kind of understood that is dynamic, and it really depends on what type of bottle you go. Is if you go, barrel proof or bottle proof versus small batch or standard bottle, that can change greatly. So yes, there can be a resounding single standout to your palate, your taste, your interest. Between these two, that's what makes it difficult for me, because the Elijah is a small batch straight bourbon, and then we have a wheated, on the Larceny. I like them both. If you ask me in the class of, a straight bourbon but a wheated, those might be at my top. But right now, no, I don't have a top.
All right. Well, that's
it's always a complex answer.
No, it is, and that's fine, because that's you narrowed everything. We've talked about that several times. What can you say your favorite small batch? Do you favor your favorite single barrel? I think the biggest argument we always go back to is what's your favorite and what's your favorite go-to that you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
So, Dick, any final picking of Mr. Keith's brain?
No, I don't have anything else to add.
All right. Well, for Mr. Fantasy Champion this year, what was your rating overall of that Larceny bottle that you had there, Keith?
The Larceny, I'd give it a B plus A.
Would you buy it again?
Would I buy it again? Yeah, I would.
Good.
Would it be a continual go-to? It'd be a touch feel kind of a thing, because it does have the sweetness. But overall, it was a great taste. The smell wasn't a ethanol burn, so it had a lot of smell, and the palate was manageable. So yeah, for sure, the Larceny small batch I would definitely go back to, and for the price. I mean,
it's hard to beat.
If you go for the price too, you add that to calculation for sure.
There's
what was that again?
There's not that many weeders out there.
Yeah.
What was the price again on that?
The price I think it was 25 or 28.
It's not bad.
Yeah. And then the other one was Elijah Craig.
The good old Elijah Craig.
And that's a standout for me right now.
Oh yeah. I'd be interested to get your overall thoughts on that on another one. Dick, what are you grading your go-to there overall?
B plus overall. Like I said, the nose is very, very pleasant to taste. I don't say it falls short. It's just nothing like I said, knock you off your feet. But overall, this is one of those that can't ever be mad at. It's something I always have, just like Eagle Rare. Kurt, what about you, man? What are you grading that in at?
Well, the nose was a C plus. The palate was a C plus. So I'm just going to stick with that C plus. I think we got spoiled last week when it came to the Still Austin. Ooh, Mahomes is slowly getting up this time, very slowly. 19-10, got a different game now. Yeah, it's a C plus. Lots of similar taste to Texas. It was an MGP. Oh, now we've got Mahomes being helped to the sideline. He does not look good.
It was his knee.
Was it his knee or his hand?
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know if it was his knee or his hand got stuck under the helmet. So it looks like it cranked his neck. Oh yeah, because
we would definitely keep an eye on that.
That is.
We'll keep an eye on that. No. So yeah, C plus for this sweetheart of the rodeo from Cooper Family Whiskey, a distillery here in Texas. So continuing the Texas tour, not bad. $38.
Maybe she's a sweetheart after the rodeo.
I'll try that.
I see what you did there.
See what you did there. Oh man, Mahomes is back in the blue tent. Oof. All right. Well, let's get the socials one more time from Dick before we close completely out.
Thanks, Kurt, for wrapping that up there. So, Drammers, a couple things to remember here. I've already hit it up. We've got our website, Fourth Dram and Goal. We've also got our Twitter and Instagram. That's probably the best way to follow us and get in contact with us at 4TH Dram. So it's Fourth Dram. Please tell your friends about us. Like, we cannot grow the show without your contribution. We super appreciate not just Keith joining us and giving us some fresh content, but also you listeners. I think we're getting, 10, 15 downloads per episode right now within the first couple days. So there's someone out there listening to us. It's not just Kurt's mom. So that's refreshing. You can always, we're on all the different podcast streaming apps, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Castbox, etc. But Apple, Audible, Castbox, and Podcast Addicts allow you to actually rank and review us. So please give us a 5-star review if you see fit, or just give us some feedback. We can take the negative feedback. We're okay with it. I know Kurt fucks shit up. It's okay. I'll coach him. We'll get better at it. He can't be Mr. Perfect like I am. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick it over to Kurt, and he'll close us out with his favorite Better Brother quote of the episode.
Thank you very much, dickhead. We're going to go with the Mr. First Round Ballot, Mr. Guaranteed Hall of Famer, since we mentioned him earlier, Peyton Manning. I've got my quote for the week here. Pressure is something you feel when you don't know what the hell you are doing. I'm pretty sure you can put that towards any aspect of your life. Take a listen to us next time. Grab a glass. We're here for you. To the next snap, to the next dram.
Drink on, Drammers.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, man.
No problem. You did hit a home run.
You did excellent.
That's my saltine.
Oh, yes.
I was
Try
like,
chocolates next
note?
time. Try chocolates next time.
No, well, you can pair this stuff with fruit and
Is
chocolate.
Mahomes back in?
No,
that's Heineke here. Or no, that's Heineke. Who's it before? Oh, that's Daniel.
No, Chad Henne.
I kind of hope that it's the neck. Oh, that knee. Fuck.
I told you it was a knee.
He looks concussed.
It's Henne, right?
Well, his head, yeah. His head slammed off there.
I thought
His head didn't even touch.
I thought their
Chase
backup
Daniel.
was Matt Moore.
Oh, Chase Daniel with the Lions now. Yeah, he looks dizzy.
Shit. Who is that? They just threw a pass like me. That's not good.
You're ahead of me. They throw it to the fans and stands. All right, I'm gonna stop recording now. Anything else we wanted to hit, like as a double back on?
I think everything went.
For
We gotta drink more before we
for
start.
the NBA, I get to give a shout out to my boy Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Your boy. I heard he's a listener too.
He's not my boy, but he's a power forward for the Bucks, and he can really throw it down. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Dude, when are we gonna do like fantasy basketball or fantasy hockey?
Never, because I don't have every fucking day to check my fantasy team on basketball. That's like baseball.
I've never even played it. So
No, I'm not.
I think I got to draw a line at football.
that's fair.
Yeah.